it seems that there is a significant progress in your long-time talks, discussions, meetings with EuroLeague concerning, their schedule on the same dates that are scheduled FIBA Windows games. Do you think that we are approaching to a final agreement, in order to get rid of this basketball confusion, with playing games at the same time with clubs and national teams?
I think FIBA has been very clear and very consistent for the last 5 years at least that it wants to eliminate this type of overlaps on the calendar, both on the men's and in the women's side, wherever these exist. And it is ready to sit down and really discuss in a constructive manner. We were the ones that took 2 years ago, just before flying to Tokyo, the first step to reinitiate the discussion with our league in Europe. And we were the ones who brought the NBA into this discussion. And we were the ones who started making steps in the direction of our clubs and our leagues with several measures. Please don't forget, this World Cup is being played 1 week earlier than the previous World Cup because our clubs asked for it. And this was not used by FIBA in any type of negotiation. We don't take our role lightly as the governing body of the sport by keeping the cards on us to trade them later for something. We have been very clear that we want to increase the credibility of organization among the clubs, and we also want to increase the reliability on how good we can organize also club competitions. These two elements have given us a different standing in this conversation. The clubs understand that we want them to have a good business, a sustainable business, as long as they respect the other stakeholders in the environment. The conversations over the last 18 months have not been consistent because there have been 3 different CEOs, but we have had, indeed, at the beginning of the summer, continuing on my good discussions with Mr. Glickman and following up on them with Mr. Moteyunas, we have had, indeed, constructive discussions, and you saw a small, but first really substantive step in the good direction. There is still a long way to cover. I'm always optimistic because I know the mindset in which we, as one FIBA, go to the table, and I'm also optimistic because I know we're not there to hurt our clubs. We're just there to try to find a good balance. So I'm optimistic, but of course it takes two to come to a conclusion. We will work hard, and that is exactly what we agreed upon, that this season we avoid the overlap. We had taken an exceptional measure for this season only to merge November with February. So February will have an overlap. I think we will have great games in February, which will benefit both the national federations as well as the clubs. And that's the only way to make the pie bigger. And if the pie gets bigger, the first ones who will benefit from it are the ones who are playing most of the time basketball and have fans in the venues, and that is our clubs. So it is this mindset that we are approaching this conversation. So a lot of hard work to do, but I think it's doable.
Thank you. Question, the woman in the beige jacket first, yes?
Beatrice Goff from Al Jazeera. So this is the second straight World Cup hosted in Asia, and you'll be hosting 2027 in Qatar. What impact has the World Cup had on Asia, and what else are you working towards?
Well, the impact is multifold. I think I should focus first on the fans. I think the fans have been exposed to the international game in a way that is impossible to expose them just through the media, through TV and their mobile phones. With the big exposure that our top men's league has, the NBA, we have had the opportunity to exhibit to the fans in China, then the fans in Japan and in Jakarta, and hear what the international game, the FIBA basketball, is all about. And that has put also a different context to our fans and to also the basketball stakeholders that have come to me and now say, okay, now we understand better what we need to do to improve. And that is fundamental. Have we seen this improvement with the two World Cups in East and Southeast Asia? Not as much as we had expected. There is, of course, the excuse, a valid excuse, which is called COVID, and that will have an impact on especially East Asia countries in the next 2-3 years in terms of development. I think we lost one generation, meaning 1 year or two, of players compared to other parts of the world that were not closed for such a long period. And this is the unfortunate side, but the fortunate side is we have mobilized so many more people to play basketball in this part of the world that is so populous. So I'm very optimistic about what Asia can do in the future. And I see good also initiatives in terms of club basketball. And that was, in my personal opinion, the secret behind the rise of Europe. Playing more internationally at the club and then the national team level, playing against the better makes you improve. Of course, here the distances are much bigger. It's not that easy. But, there are some great airline companies and some great airports, and connections are not that difficult at the end of the day. So I'm optimistic, and I see how the PBA here is talking to us, and we're exchanging, and they have learned a lot from this event, and we have learned a lot from them. I really think we will see an upgraded PBA product in the next years in Philippines. The B.League is becoming one of the top 10 for sure, maybe top 5 very soon, leagues, domestic leagues in the world, both in terms of budgets and spectacle and imports. So I think CBA will also come back soon in terms of where it was and where it wants to be. I had a good discussion also with our board member Yao Ming in that respect. Despite the national team results, I think the potential is there. Now, Doha is Asia still, but it's the West is different. It's the first one in MENA region, first one in the Arab world. I believe there the initiatives are coming one after the other. We started the West Asia Super League. This year we played our Final 8 in Dubai. And there we have some countries where basketball is number 1, Lebanon. You get off the airport and the first billboard you see is the captain of the national team of basketball. We have, I think, a big interest for team sports in the Gulf region that is growing, and North Africa has also part of the MENA has had for a long time a tradition in basketball, and Egypt did quite well here. So I'm optimistic that going into this new market for us will also expand our footprint, but also most importantly, that is our job, develop basketball in that part of the world even more.